Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today I'm going to show you how you can easily change the batteries in a huge variety of watches. So I'm going to quickly do all of these watches here, and then hopefully some of them will be very similar to the watch that you want to change your batteries in. Now on the cheap watches, so this one here and the ones down here, they all have snap-on backs, so they're really easy to remove. You can remove them with just a little flathead screwdriver, even a sharp or a blunt knife, as long as it's not too thick. As long as it's nice and thin there, you will be able to pop the backs off. When it comes to the more expensive watches like these Tag watches, you do need to unscrew them, so you do need a special tool to unscrew them. Now there is ways that you can undo them. You might have already seen them on YouTube clips. The first time I undid this one here, the big one, I actually used two forks, and I'll quickly show you how I did that. I'm not actually going to do it because I've now got the proper tool, but the problem with that is you can easily slip and you end up scratching the back of your watch. So rather than mucking about with the kind of fake ways of doing it, well, not the fake ways, but you know, using like softballs and all the other ways, what I would suggest is spend, I think it's about £15, and get yourself a kit like this. Now this is just a watch repair kit. I got this one off eBay, but I will link to, if you go to mymatevince.com, I will link to, I know they sell them on Amazon, so I'll link to the different sellers on Amazon that sell these. I think they are around the £15 mark. And basically you have everything you need to change the batteries in your watch. So this is the tool you need to unscrew the backs off the more expensive watches. This is a nice little sharp, flat bit for popping off the backs on the cheaper watches. So although this is a real poor quality kit because it's only £15, obviously a proper watch repairer would probably be spending 10 or 20 times that amount on their tools. But for someone like myself that only changes a battery once a month, or I have friends and family sometimes want their batteries changed, they pop them over to me, then this is ideal. So I might use this 2 or 3 times a year, and believe it or not, you can do quite complicated jobs. Now with this Tag watch here, not only do I change the batteries, but I have actually had to change the movement. It's got an ETA movement inside, and it failed. I thought it was the battery, but then I swapped the battery over and it wasn't. And also while mucking about with it first time round, I mucked up the hands, so I've got non-original hands on this now as well. So you can get quite involved with just a simple kit like this. I've managed to change the hands on this and the movement, and even though the watch itself is quite expensive, the ETA movement inside I got off, I think it was from eBay, for around the £30 mark delivered, and you know that somebody's making probably £10 profit on that. So the ETA movements in these watches are actually very cheap, but they're good movements. But obviously there's huge markup on Tag watches. So by spending a £15 kit, you can end up doing a lot of work yourself. I wear this watch every day. I wear it in the sea, I wear it when I'm doing building work, I wear it absolutely anywhere, because I know that if I muck it up and the insides break, then I can spend £30 to keep it running. So yeah, I would recommend getting yourself a toolkit, and then you know it's going to last you quite a few years if you're not using it very often, and it saves you having to scratch up your watches, and if you're using a knife, cutting yourself and stuff. So I'm just going to quickly go through all these watches here, and hopefully some of them will be similar to the watches you have at home that you want to change the batteries in or do whatever you need to do on. So I'm just going to zoom in and go through a few of them. Okay, so let's start on this little Timex girls watch. So first of all, you need to determine, is it a snap back or is it a screw back? Now normally the cheaper watches are just snap on, but you can tell because this is smooth here, so there'd be no way of me to unscrew it. There's no little notches in. So basically, if you have a look at a watch like this, you can see that it's got points here to unscrew it from. There, and up the top as well. And if you were to have a look at this Tag, again, you can see that there's notches, and they're the notches that you put the tool in to unscrew the back. I presume the screw back is better to, I presume it's to make it more waterproof if you're going very deep under the water. So on this one here, I can't see any screw things. So next thing you need to look for is, if you look around the very edge, you need to look all the way around to see if you can see the bit where you need to put the tool under. So if you have a look there, can you see it's different? So around here it's just normal, but then you've got that little bit there that looks different than the rest. Now that's the bit that you need to get your tool under and pop it out. So it might be full. Obviously if you're wearing the watches a lot, then they might be full off, like, you know, dead skin and stuff and dirt, so it might be hard to find. So you might just need to clean around the edges to find them. So on this one I know it's here. So in my little toolkit here I've got this little blade, and it's nice and flat and nice and sharp with a nice big handle. So yes, you can use it using these little flathead screwdrivers. You just put it under there and pop it off like so. But it is easier to use the flat one. So on the other ones now I will be using the proper tools. So basically on this one, just pop the back off like so. And then if you have a look there, you've got a big Maxwell battery in. And all you do is gently pop the battery out. And then by yourself, you get the number. It's going to be hard to see. Wait, that zooms in. There you go, CR1216. Okay, what these numbers normally mean on these type of flat batteries is the 12 will normally be, so it's 1, 2 at the beginning, will normally be from here to here in millimeters, so the diameter in millimeters, and the 1, 6 will mean 1.6 millimeters in depth. Okay, so 12, 16 will normally mean 12 millimeters across and 1.6 in depth. So that's how you change that one. And then to put it back in, just put it back in the way you found it. Often you'll find there's only one way to put it back in. Okay, so that's a nice easy one. That just clips in like so. And again, if you put the top on nice and straight, so the Timex is lined up, so the writing is lined up with the watch strap. And then all you do is just apply a bit of pressure, not too much, and you should hear it click. Okay, that made a very quiet click. And if you have a look, you see now it's just clipped on all the way around. Okay, so that's that one. Let me just whiz through the other ones. This watch here, Hello Kitty, again, little girl's watch. Looking around the edges, I can see that this top section here, this bit here is different to the rest. You see that bit here? Okay, so just use the proper tool this time. Put the proper tool in there and just clip it open like that. Now this one's got a little plastic ring. Let me try to zoom in a bit more. Right, it's got a little plastic ring, so all you have to do is gently pop that out. Like so. Okay, it just pops out. Again, when you're putting it back in, you can't get it wrong because it's got a cutout for the winder mechanism here. And then again, the battery just pops out like so. And you look closely at the battery, and basically you see what's written on it and you get your numbers from it. So on this one it says SR626SW. So just type those numbers into Google. It's going to be too small to see. But if you type those numbers into Google, then you'll be able to find the battery. It's not focusing at all. Yeah, so you'd be able to get replacement ones off them on eBay for, often it's as low as 99p, and somehow they deliver it to your house for that price as well. So it's ridiculously cheap. And then putting it in again, just put the battery in and just gently push it down. On most of these watches as well, it's that side that will go down. You see where you've got the plus and the minus. Okay, so if you have a look, that side of the battery looks different. There. So we got that side looks different. So there's a little ring that divides the plus and the minus. If you have a look around, so you see that this is the plus side here. Okay, so normally it's the plus side that goes up, but just the way it comes out, put it back in. So if you're unsure, if you're a bit nervous about it, just take a picture of it, make a note of it, and then you know you're going to put it back the same way. So it just clips back in like so, and then you can't put this in wrong because it won't let you put it in wrong. When it's in the right place, it will just fall in. And again, line it up nice and straight, so the writing's straight with the strap, like so, and then apply a bit of pressure. And you will just feel it and hear it click into place. And that's it. That's that one. Okay, let's have a look at this weird looking watch here. This is one of these sort of rubberized watches. So if you have a look back here, there's no obvious place. Zoom out a bit. There's no obvious place to take the back off. So on this particular watch, just have a little play around with it because they had to get the battery in there when they were making it. So have a little play around, and as you see, it starts to come apart, like so, like that. Right. But yet we still can't see where the battery goes. But if you have a look, there's 4 little indentations here at the edges. So I'm just going to pop the screwdriver in there, and there you go, it pops out. Sure enough, there's your battery. Okay, this is a CR 2016, so that means 20 millimeters across. And if I just pop it out, so what did I say, 2016, so 20 millimeters across and 1.6 millimeters depth. So again, you order one of those off eBay, Amazon, pop it in your watch, and it will all be okay. Well, it'll be all okay if it's the battery that's faulty or gone dead. So pop this back in. And just get these little pins back in. There we go. Okay, so that's that one. Right, should we do a screw back one? Right, screw back ones. So now this is the more expensive tag, so you want to be taking a bit more care. So basically in the cheapo kit you have this little tool here which holds the watch in place. You can hold it in your hand and use the tool to spin it round. The only problem with that is it's a little bit awkward, and by putting it here as well you have a little bit more leverage because you've got a bit more room to hold on to this, so you can hold on to it a bit stronger. So what you can do if you're worried about getting any scratches on your watch, you can put a little bit of cloth in there, and then you put that down and you tighten it up. Okay, so now that watch is held in place. You then get this, and if you have a look, it's got three little prongs sticking out. So you need to adjust this to the size of the watch. So this watch is quite big, so I'm going to have to lower this one down. And on this one here, I'm going to have to make them go a bit more further apart. Okay, and then you put it on your watch. Again, it's easier if the strap was to be undone. There is a tool to undo the strap, but I don't actually need to do it for this watch here because there's quite a bit of room for me to work with. So what I need to do is, it's going to be hard to see, but I need to get these prongs in the lugs. So Right now they're in there, but I'm just going to tighten them up a little bit, like so, and then the bottom one needs to be in there as well. Now it is fiddly, but you don't have to do it very often. Now the good thing about the Targ watches, and it's probably the same on many other watches, is when the battery starts to go flat, the second hand doesn't move around in 1 second intervals, it moves around in 2 second intervals. So basically you see that the second hand is jumping because it's moving around in 2 second intervals. That means that your battery's almost gone. So when you see that happening, take off the back, write down the battery, the whatever number it is, order yourself up one, and by the time it comes through in a few days, you should have still plenty of time to put it in your watch, so you won't be without your watch. So now all my prongs are in there, then one's there, and then one's there, and you need to twist it anti-clockwise, okay? So I'm going to be twisting it anti-clockwise this way round. So you apply a bit of pressure down, and you'll see now it's starting to move. If you have a look at the case, you can see that it's starting to move. And because I haven't undone the strap, I'm going to have to move the prongs round again to the next lot. Move them round and undo again, and now it's getting nice and loose. Again, there you go. And now you'll be able to do it by hands, like so. Okay, that's the back of it there, and that's what the inside looks like. And you see you've got your sealing, your rubber O-ring to make it waterproof around this edge here. Now obviously if you're doing this on your own watch, then it's not going to be guaranteed. If you were to take it down to however many meters this is, I can't remember if it's 200 or 300 meters, and it was to leak, then it's not going to be covered. While if you send it away to Targ, then they would do a pressure test to make sure it's available, you know, to make sure that it can go to those depths. So the way I look at it is that I don't know how much it would cost to send to Targ, but I presume it would be a few £100s, and also you've lost your watch for a while. You know, I got this watch for, I think it was £600 from like an outlet store. I know watches have gone up a lot recently. This was probably about I don't know when it was, about 9 years ago now, I think. And I'm not going to pay £300 when I can get a battery off eBay for £2. And I do take it swimming, but obviously I'm not a diver, so I don't take it deep. But even if I was to go maybe just scuba diving down to 10 meters or whatever you're allowed to go without having all the qualifications, then if it was to leak, well, worst case scenario, I would just change the movement, and the face and stuff would probably dry out okay. So I'm not too bothered about it. If I had a really expensive Rolex, I might think about, well, I probably would send it away to be serviced because they're going to be a lot more complicated. But these watches inside, it's so simple to change the battery. It seems a shame to have to pay out so much money when the watch itself isn't that expensive. So unless it's got a lot of sentimental value, just change it yourself. Right, so that's I had to take the battery, the back off, and then you just take this little bit off here. It's like a little spring that sits on the battery. Must be just to apply a bit of pressure to it. And then if you have a look there, this is a Renata 371. The battery there says Renata 371. So you order them up on eBay or Amazon, and then it's so easy to pop out. Just pop it out like that. Okay, get your new battery, and you just pop it back in. Now, often you find when you're putting it back in, there's only one way to do it. So if, for example, you try putting it in, don't force it down, because there is, if you look closely, it's going to be so hard to see because it's so small, and also the strap's in the way. But there's like a little spring here that puts pressure on the battery. So if you would try to put it in this side first and then force down this side, then it's going to probably be forcing against the spring. So just put it in, dip it down so the spring side goes in first. So when you lift it, you're lifting it from, alright, let's see if I can do this on camera. Right, so when you're putting it in, you need to put it in that way, like that. If you can see that, like that, and then just pop it down. So don't force it, just whichever, you know, you can sort of tell when you're putting it in if it's right or not. And if you're feeling lots of resistance, don't force it down, because you're probably pushing it down against those little springs that's jutting out. So you put that in there, and then you put this little spring in on top. Again, there's little cutouts for the spring. One of them is bigger than the other two. So if you have a look, that's a little bit there. You might see the light shining off it is actually fatter than those two bits. That bit and that bit. So what you do is you put the fatter bit in where you've got the little cutout there. If you have a look, there, there's a little cutout there. So you put the fat bit in there. So just kind of look closely, and it will all make sense. Okay. So now the little bit that keeps the pressure on the battery just sits on top there. And to put it back on, you can give it a little clean round. I'm sure you can probably buy these O-rings and stuff, but I've had this for years and it's never, the water's never got into it. But again, I don't go deep, so there's no pressure. I'm only talking about just swimming in the pools and in the sea. Okay, so yeah, that's it. And then all you do is just put it back on and gently start it off by hand. So this time you're going to be doing it clockwise. And then when you can no longer do it by hand, get the tool, and just like before, you line it up, but this time you do it clockwise. Okay, that's it. There you go. You can see now I'm putting quite a bit of strain on that and it's not going anymore. So I'm happy now that that's on nice and tight. So let's undo that. Now what I was saying about the forks earlier, but it does scratch up your watch because I've got a few scratches on. I've got like a scratch going across here, and that was from when I first of all had to get to the battery. I didn't have the tool, and what I did is I placed one fork here and one fork here and my thumb here, and basically I put loads of downward pressure and moved it round like that while putting my thumb here so the watch wasn't turning, to stop the watch from turning, and basically that did manage to open it. But then when it came to my wife's watch, I couldn't open it using the forks, so that's when I went out and I ordered up one of these. Okay, so that's how you do that one. Now, if you have a look at this one here, this is another cheapy watch. This is my son's watch. He won this out of one of those grabber machines. And this one's misleading because you look at it, already they've sort of tried to copy the Targ look. And when you look at the back of it, it looks like it's a screw. Because they've got those little indentations. So when I first of all seen this, I thought it was a screw one. Put the tool on it and tried to undo it. And it didn't undo, it actually felt like the watch was going to break. And then I looked around very closely, and if you have a look, you can see up the top here, there's a little tab again. So it isn't a screw on. Don't know if you can see that, hold on. There, so there's a little tab there. So that means it just pops off. So again, get the tool, put it under there, gently prise it off, and there you've got your little battery inside. Again, with the little plastic thing. So you get to the battery there. So all you do is pop out the battery, like so. Okay, read the battery like before, then order yourself up one. And then again just lean down on it and snap it shut. Okay. Yep, so that's that one. Again, another snap off one. Look for the tab. Here you can see this one quite clearly here. Just here. Put it in there, nice and gently. Just lever it off. Same again, this is very similar to the other watch. This is again little girl's kitten watch. Prise out the plastic, and that gives you access to the battery here, like so. Again, you just pop the battery back in, plastic back in. This one incorporates a bit of plastic covering the battery as well. Line up the cover and snap. Make sure it's snapped in all the way around. That's that one. Okay, now this is a real, again this was one out of a grab machine, you know those machines you put your euro into on holiday, and it takes them out. Complete fashion watch, absolutely disgusting, massive thing. I don't know who's got arms that big, but it doesn't fit anybody. But now this one here is slightly different. Annoyingly, it's got a screw back, so you have to use a little screwdriver to undo the back. These are little Phillips screws, they're tiny, but I haven't got a tiny enough Phillips screwdriver even in the toolmaker's kit. I didn't have one, so you're going to have to use a tiny little flathead screwdriver, which you do get in the toolmaker's kit, the tool repairer's kit. So undo the screws, and again that gives you access to the back. Take out the big plastic covering, and you got your battery. You got your battery here. Okay. Again, put it in the way that feels right. So to begin with, I was trying to put it in like that, and it wouldn't go because there's a little sort of retaining bit here. So it needs to go in the other way round. So it needs to go in that way round, and then just pop it down. Put the plastic thing back on, and again just do up the back. You can tell with this sort of watch here, probably only be able to change the battery a couple of times before these screws would no longer go in. It's just a badly made watch. Okay. Let's do the little tag. So this is going to be a bit harder again because there's less room now because my wife's wrists are smaller than the other tag, so there's less room to put the tool in there. But again, I can still do it without taking the strap apart because that's just one more job you're going to have to do if you're going to have to take the pins out. So again, get this little contraption here. It needs to go a lot smaller, so just wind it in. Again, it's really poorly made, but it does the job. Right, so put a little bit of a protective cloth in there, wind it up. There we go, so now that's in place. And now we're going to have to make these a lot smaller because the watch itself is smaller. So wind that like so. Sometimes it needs a bit of a helping hand because it doesn't wind very nicely. And we have to wind this one in as well. Now I normally just get the top two lined up first and then worry about the bottom one. So we have to line it up in the slots and then make it smaller so it fits. So now the top two are in. Now we've just got to get the bottom one in. Especially when you use the cloth to stop it scratching, it does get in your way as well. It really doesn't want to go any smaller. But that should do. Okay, so again, anti-clockwise, so I'm going to be moving it round this way. Okay, going up this way. Put it in. There we go, and it's already gone. See that moving round. Do it to the next lot. Move it round, and now I should be able to do it by hand. That pops off. There we go. That's the inside of it there. Let me just unwind it from here. That's the inside of it. And it's the same sort of setup again. It's got this little thing covering the battery, that just like a little flat bit of metal with a bit sticking up, which springs down. So I presume the back, when you screw the back on, it puts pressure on that just to keep it flat. And again, if we look at it, on this one here, it's got one small one and two fat ones. If we look there, there's let's do it that way. Right, the thin one is at the bottom, so that's at 6 o'clock, and the top two are the fat ones. There we go. Okay, so you get your battery, and just gently pop it out. There we go. And this is a Renata 364. So you order one of them up. Again, this watch will do the same thing. When it starts to go, battery starts to get weak, it will start skipping, so it won't go every second. The second hand will move around 2 seconds, 4 seconds, 6 seconds, so it's every 2 seconds, and you can really see it jumping because it looks strange. So you might think that that's a fault on your watch until you look it up, and then you realise that it's the battery getting flat. So get yourself a new battery. Again, pop it back in the way that it feels comfortable going back in, which is going to be like that. And then just pop it down, it will clip into place. And then I have to work out which one, because there's two fat ones and one thin one. So I'm just going to put the two fat ones this side and see how it feels. It is fiddly. You need good light as well. Okay, so I've got that top one in there, but as you can see, it's not sitting flat. So that's wrong. So I'm going to do it a quarter of a turn round and see if it will then sit flat. There we go. Right, I did it a quarter of a turn, and now it is sitting nice and flat. Okay, we get our back, gently put it on by hand. Again, you can see that the little rubber gasket or O-ring, whatever you want to call it, is going around the edge there. Again, I've never replaced it. But if you were thinking about going deep down and doing it yourself, then you should replace that. Also, you can go to there is some high street shops that do pressure testing for you. I think they charge about £30 to change the battery and do a pressure test, which again is a lot less than Targ would do it. But I presume that they don't really guarantee anything, or Targ isn't going to be interested if the watch goes faulty. Okay, so I've done it up hand tight. It's in this little unit here, and let's do it up. There we go. Okay. Now, that feels to me to be nice and tight. Yeah. So that's all on nice and flat. So that's it. So yeah, if you're interested in getting this kit, please check out mymatevince.com and find this video. It will be, I'll put it under the do-it-yourself section, and yeah, buy it. That way I'll get a few % off the sale, and you'll get a little kit that will help you change all your batteries in your watches. Nice and easy. So hopefully this video helped a bit. I did a good variety of watches here, so hopefully whatever watch you're trying to change, one of them will be similar to one of the watches in this video. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Please subscribe for more how-to videos, and thanks a lot for watching. Take care. Bye now.